Hey, what's up, rock stars? It's Rox coming to you today with the review for Love and Marriage Huntsville, Season 6, Episode 25, I believe this is. So you guys will have to be patient with me. I don't feel well. I've been sick all weekend. I was roofied Friday night when we went out. If you guys saw on my Instagram, my husband and I had gone out. And so I'm actually going to do a story time about it. But I've been sick all weekend. I'm super weak today. And I haven't eaten since Friday, so that's probably why. So I'm gonna, we're gonna get through the videos and get back on track. And like I said, I'll do a story time about it because craziest experience of my life. But anyway, the review. Let's get to it, shall we? Child, this ain't the show to be reviewing when you don't feel well because your patience be so short, child. This Neil and her kids, I feel like we was just jumping all around the table. The son was mad about the dogs, and then Lexi took over because let Lexi tell it. Honey, Lexi been treated differently than everybody else. Lexi was the only one that had to buy her own car, apparently. Everybody else got Mercedes, and Lexi was the only one that worked, saved up $1,500 and got her a little bucket, okay? She said she's always been treated differently. I was like, well, wait a minute. Is Lexi the actual daughter? Okay, I think Lexi is, Chris's daughter or Nell's daughter, but not both of theirs together. I'm not sure because, they had a breakdown. They said that one had a kid, the other one had a kid, and then they had two together. So I don't know what the breakdown is, you guys, but it's funny because whenever I have friends that have a lot of siblings, there's always at least one sibling that feels like this. And I imagine, there may be some legitimate reasons why a kid feels that way. You're a parent, you got 5, 6 kids that you're trying to deal with. Maybe one do kind of slip through the cracks. You try your best, but maybe that happens. I don't know, but it just seems like, I have some friends that have a lot of siblings. It's always one that just be like, I was treated differently than the rest. Actually, Joe and Jada says stuff like that too, but it don't be to this extent. Lexi is very, very, very upset, and you would think that I just don't even know, am I supposed to believe this? Apparently, so I'm not sure if Nell really, really goes off the way that she does, or if she's just doing that for the show. If she does do that, then yes, I can see why the kids would just gravitate towards Chris, only because sometimes you just need a more calm person. That person may still tell you that you're wrong, but you got to learn how to communicate with your kids, especially as they get older. We talk about that here all the time. You can't treat your kids like they are 5 and 10 anymore. They're grown, so things have to be a little bit different, and sometimes it's just hard for people to adjust to that. They swear that they have never mistreated Lexi. Lexi says that they don't do nothing. They didn't even want to come to the wedding. She said they barely came to the wedding. I was just like, what does barely mean? Were they there or they not? If they're there, they're there. Okay? One of the sons was like, we all came and we represented. All right. But she wasn't happy with the way that they came. I was just like, I don't even know who I'm supposed to believe in this, but let her tell it. Her version of her life is completely different than what everybody else says at that table. And so, of course, she gets all frustrated. And she jumps up, and I'm assuming the white guy is her husband. They ain't really said much about him, but he got up too. And she was just like, I'm getting the hell out of here. And Nell was like, fine, go. And, that she goes out to her car and she's leaving. Everybody at the table, the family says that she loves to play the victim. It's always woe is me. It's always Lexi didn't get this. Lexi didn't get that. Lexi got exactly what everybody else got. At least that's what the kids at the table say. But Lexi sees it differently. So when Chris goes out to the car, and Lexi is leaving, and he's just like, he doesn't want her to feel that way. And she says that none of them have been there for him, for her, not even him. And he was like, no, wait a minute now. I know I wasn't there at some point, but I did step up and I took care of the business that I needed to, in raising you. And she was just like, no, you ain't never been there. You ain't been there really until I was about 28 years old. And he was like, what? Okay, now you lying. All right, now you need to go because you lying. She was like, what do you mean? You weren't even there. You never did anything for me until I was like 28. That's around. And he was like, just go, just leave. Okay, because you lying. And I'm not even going to sit here and play with you today. Okay, go home. And so they leave. And I just was like, I mean, who do you guys believe? Lexi, the rest of the family, or do you think all this is a show? Now, anyway, later we see Chris come by Neil's job. She says she wants to talk to him. Okay, let him put some things down, and then he comes back to the office. All right, so what's up? Well, the family dinner. Neil wants to talk about the fact that it was a lot. And he said, yeah, a lot did happen at that family dinner. They don't understand about the whole car situation. No, I remember now. This is Chris's daughter. Because I remember Neil saying that she's had them since she was like 16. She's raised her since she was like 16 or 18 months or something like that. So yeah, that is Chris's daughter. But I'm sorry, I'm out of breath. Neil says that she doesn't feel like she needs to explain herself to Lexi or any of her kids for that matter. He was like, yeah, I mean, it's our child and it's been a difficult relationship for many years. Neil feels like she's always blamed. But, Nell was like, I do love her. That's our child. I've had her for all that time, so I she hates that she feels that way. But she always blames Nell for a lot of things. And, there's probably some layers of this, especially with Lexi being the daughter, I guess, that Chris had. But it wasn't, Nell is not Lexi's mother. So I can see how there might be a strained relationship there. You would think that since they had her since she was so little, but it's probably a lot more to that story. Lexi is mad at her about that, and then she's talking about, Chris Jr. and the dogs and the money, and she's just frustrated with it all. Chris tries to explain to her that her temper is the reason why the kids don't really come to her, because it's 0 to 100 immediately. And he usually tries to find out what happened first, and then he starts, talking to the children. So it's just the way you approach things. And, our kids all have that. Like, I'm not the heavy in the family. So if some shit go down, we got to be calling in reinforcement, that's Mr. Lane. All right. I am more of the trying to talk to him, trying to get something out of him, trying to understand how everybody feels and trying to figure out how we can make things work. So, that does happen. The kids know that if they need somebody to be rah-rah and pissed off and, act a fool and do that usually I'm not that person that's going to be Mr. Okay. So kids do this, but in this sense, it's a little bit more negative because they just all feel like Nell is just crazy, off the chain, never listens, just yells first and asks questions later. Nell says that she feels like she should go to 0, from 0 to 100, that she should be able to do that because this is called tough love, okay? She's got to make sure that she raised her children correctly. At that table, I mean, I wouldn't say that they weren't raised right, but they don't look like they happy with the way that Nell has decided to rear them. So anyway, she says she's tired of it. She don't feel like, them trying to be in her pockets. Okay, Chris, let them be in your pockets. Okay, let them take all your money, because they don't even pay me back when they get money. At least when they borrow from you, they give you your money back. Nell just feels very disrespected. But Chris tells her that she's doing a great job, I would hope so. Them kids is grown now. Your job is over. Now you just have to be looking at how the kids act in the real world. So maybe they need to go to counseling because we at a standstill here. And Nell says that she would do that. Maybe we're going to go to counseling, have a third party, mediator. I said, not Dr. Frantic. Am I going to have a reason to make fun of Dr. Frantic again? I can't wait. Anyway, you guys, they're going to be going to counseling as a family. Same shit, different family, child. Now, jumping over to Stormy, we see Stormy and Courtney talking. They're having some wine and they're just talking about how busy she's been. She's been a mediator because she's been trying to get Tiffany and Kiki together. And Courtney was like, "You think you could do it?" I just love Courtney because his face has always he's always got like this amused look on his face, like this whole show just amuses him. He's probably my favorite character on the show, or favorite, personality on the show. But anyway, she's telling him that she's trying to get them together so they can talk, and she's not sure how it's gonna go. Tiffany, she's a Karen. Okay, Kiki is quite hood, and so she's gonna try to be that mediator for the two of them. She gonna have him to the house. She gonna give him shots. He was like, no, not the alcohol, because the alcohol is gonna turn it into something else. And he was like, if you're gonna do that, then you better take them out to pasture. They ain't tearing up my damn house. I was just like, first of all, Tiffany is not going to fight Kiki. Okay. She is definitely the damsel in distress. I can see her just falling out and probably even trying to sue Kiki. So Kiki better not go that route, because Tiffany is that type of Karen. Anyway, things are looking better as far as the business is going. It's good that they hired the COO. Stormy wasn't, good at hiring like the people that she needed in place. Sometimes when you start these businesses, it's just your family because you don't know any better. And then when the business takes off and you realize that you got to really hire like an executive staff, people who really know what they're doing about business and marketing and distributing and logistics and, packaging and everything. Like, this is a for real true business, huge warehouse. You have to be on a timetable. You have to have things in order. And she probably didn't know that at first. And then her business grew quickly. And then she had to hurry up and catch up with it before it got out of her hands, and she couldn't control it and lost it. So she did hire the COO, the white guy that we met last week. She said that, he's turned things around and things are really going well. She's happy about that. Now, Courtney, and Courtney gives her props, that she has kind of stepped well into that CEO position. She's much better with the business. So, she said that she's feeling pretty proud of herself as well. Courtney tells her that he hired Junior back, and she was just like, "Oh, do you think that's a good idea?" Because I was just talking to the COO, and that was one of our things, like making sure that we have the correct staff. And he was like, "No, I think he's gonna do better." I did talk to him, and I think he's going. I just told him that he couldn't do the shit that he was doing before, and he said that he wouldn't. And so I think he's gonna be fine. She was just like, "Oh, so now it's big bro, little bro." And he was like, "It's always been big bro, little bro." He just felt like Junior needed another chance. And she was like, "Okay, well, if he brought him back, he brought him back." And she was like, "I'm shocked that he brought him back. Like, why the hell we even fire him in the first place?" Well, maybe Junior needed to be taught a lesson. Okay, sometimes you got to go the roundabout way to get people to understand what they had and lost, and miss, and then so they can appreciate it if they get it back. Now, because she said she's going to have the girls over, okay, it is the day. Kiki comes over, and, Kiki was just like, "Oh, girl, it's hot in here. I'm going to take this jacket off if that's okay." And Stormy says, "Oh, girl, I'm sorry. It was like 58 degrees in here, so I'm sure she has the heat cranked up." And Kiki told her that the methadone that she takes, it makes her sweat. It makes her hot. And so, that's the reason. Stormy was just like, "Okay, well, that's fine. If that's the trade-off is you got to sweat, but then, this is helping you stay off of drugs and all of that, then that's the payoff is worth it." So they sit down and, she asked her, has she talked to Tisha? And she was like, "No, she's done with Tisha. She ain't talked to her. She blocked her number, so there's really no way for her to call her." She said they've been going through this since they're 13 years old. I was like, "You've been going through what since you were 13 years old? Marcel cheating on her at 13 years old? This is the whole thing. You have wrapped a whole big family problem into this relationship with Letitia and Marcel. You ain't been going through this with Letitia and Marcel since you were 13. You've been going through competing with Letitia since you were 13 years old." The fact that she was sitting there saying that, she's the reason that Letitia is where she is, that kind of talk sounds bitter. It sounds haterish. It sounds like you have the life that I should have. Okay. And Kiki gives me that every time she's on the screen. And the fact that Kiki has had this drug problem and now everybody knows about it. See, we looking at Kiki as the cousin with the drug problems. Tisha is the one that got it going on, and Kiki is the one that could have had it going on, but then she got on drugs, you know. And so it's always really deep, you know, when it comes to that kind of thing. Family, these kind of things have been going on for years, and they're exploiting it on the show, making it worse. But yeah, as of now, she said that relationship is dead. Stormy feels bad for her because it reminds her of her mom and her aunt. You know, she's hoping that relationship's not dead. So she hopes that it's hope. How about everybody just mind their damn business? Let Letitia and Kiki figure their own shit out. Anyways, Stormy points out that Kiki didn't get mad at Tiffany until the Carlos King interview. And Stormy understood why, because the interview was extremely messy, extremely shady. You know, they showed some clips, and, you know, Tiffany's talking about Kiki jumping the fence to get into a game because she didn't want to play, and her son came late to this team. You know, Tiffany is just disgusting to me. I don't like Tiffany. And I can say that with, I don't usually say when I don't like, you know, I don't like her. And so, because none of it is funny. She's a mean bitch. She's snobby, snooty, your typical, I was going to say something that's going to get me in trouble, but she is that type. And if you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, Kiki doesn't understand why she's even coming after her, because she hasn't done anything to her, but that's the way that Tiffany rolls. Tiffany goes after whoever she feels needs to be gone after. Whatever is going to keep her on the show. You already saw in the previews for next week, Honey Lou is over. I give their marriage, and I don't normally do this either, but I give their marriage a couple more years at the most, child. They ain't gonna make it. He looks done, but we'll talk about that more next week. Anyway, Kiki was just like, I hate to have to teach the bitch a lesson, but I will if I have to. Okay. And then on that note, there's a knock at the door, and it is Tiffany. And Tiffany got that baby strapped to her like a damn, like that shit is gonna protect her from everything. Like, you wouldn't hit a woman holding a baby, would you? And Tiffany looked real stressed out. Kiki was like, oh, it's a baby. I said, yeah, girl, that's her protection from you. You gonna teach her a lesson with that baby in her hands? Now, jumping over to Martel, we see Martel. Martel is moving, finally. Okay, in the middle of the damn night, like somebody running from a fucking creditor, a landlord or something. But he said that he had to get his family to help him move, and they couldn't come till night, so that's where they are. He said it's been difficult finding a house. He's got 5 kids, so he has to have at least 5 bedrooms. And so that was the reason why, you know, he wasn't leaving Chris's house. He couldn't understand why Chris didn't understand that. You just better be glad that Chris was your damn friend. And speaking of Chris, he gets a FaceTime call from Chris. You know, hey, what you doing? He was like, actually, I'm moving right now. Like, right as we speak. And Chris was like, you finally moving. And he was like, yeah, it was just hard finding a place, but thanks for, you know, I appreciate you working with me. Even though I don't know if Chris worked with him, Martel was just like, put his foot down. He wasn't moving. I was like, honey, in the real world, if you had somebody that was not Chris, they would have evicted his ass. Martel was just like, yeah, there's been a lot of turmoil around me leaving, you know, but he's finally out. So then Chris tells him, you know, his wife, Neil, told him that Martel came over and for him not to talk to his wife crazy. And, you know, he starts laughing, and he tells us in the confessional that, you know, he knows that Chris isn't really upset about it. You know, him and Neil, they just both like to express themselves, sometimes loudly, sometimes challenging each other, but it don't be nothing. You know, so Martel was just like, oh, Chris is just talking. It's okay. You know, he's fine. Him and Neil are fine. Ain't nobody got into no big fights or nothing, so they good. They both have tempers. They like to go at it a little bit. Okay, but Chris don't like that. And then lastly, you guys, Mel. We see Mel. She said she needs some help with her orders, all right? Thousands and thousands of orders. She printed out about 20 of them, and her friend, Brittany, her college roommate, her best friend, is there. She's going to help her package. I was just like, oh, we got a new friend for Mel. You know, because everybody always says Mel's real friends she don't have on the show. So I guess Brittany finally said, okay, I will come on, all right? Because now it's not about the negative, it's all about the positive. And she's going to help her package her orders. I was just like thousands of mail orders. I don't care what Marcel say. That sounds like a little change in the pocket to me, so I'm not mad. Anyway, Mel wants to know why Brittany wasn't at her name change ceremony. And Brittany says, girl, it was my niece's 16th birthday. You know, I couldn't miss that. I was down in Atlanta. And Mel was like, but you've been there for everything. You know, you was with me when I met little buddy. I said, not little buddy. He was with her when she met little buddy, when they got married, everything that they went through, the divorce. And, you know, she just felt like she needed to be at the name change. She was like, well, girl, I was there in spirit. So Mel was just like, you know, I just was really sad that you weren't there. And Brittany was like, well, why don't you do another ceremony? I was like, child, we can't do another male singing and her that all that dramatics. No. Let's not do another one of those. Let's do something else. Mel was just like, no, how about you help me, you know, pick somebody else to date. Now, I'm not really sure what any of this means. The way that Mel presented it was almost as if she was talking about having some sort of event with a bunch of men to figure out who she was going to date, or some kind of dating show or something. You know, I'm not sure how this is going to pan out, but she tells Brittany that she wants her to help her pick her new guy. I guess she's not seeing that guy that we saw earlier in the season. And the one that that's the guy that she had gone on the vacation with. So I guess maybe that one didn't work out, and she's seeing other people as well. So, you know, Mel tells us how it's been in the dating world, you know, now that she's divorced, it's ups and downs. She's not sure if she would remarry. She's still young, so she probably will remarry. They talk about Mel's requirements, you know, what Mel's number one love language is out of the 5 love languages. And the girl said, yes, physical touch. And Mel was like, that's right, because that's why I was always up under you, you know, in college. So Mel said, do you think we'll find something in Huntsville? And she was like, well, I don't know. We'll have to see. And Mel was like, shit, yeah, we might have to take this vagina international. Okay, I don't see why not. Child, go on and get you one of them Jamaican, them Caribbean mans, you know, Jean St. Jacques. Yeah, go on and expand your horizons, Mel. All right, you guys, that's it. Still got to do Real Housewives of Potomac. This felt like a filler show. They could have kept all that, child, all of it. But I am interested to see how Kiki and Tiffany plays out. But anyway, you guys, let me get off of here. Make sure that you thumbs up the video, comment, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I'm Roxanne. The channel is itsrox. Everything else I do will be in the bottom bar. All right. So I hope that you have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day. And I plan on doing the same. Till next time, rock stars. Bye.